Here's your General Hospital recap on what happened in Port Charles today, Thursday, June 26, 2025. Sasha was putting Daisy to bed in her nursery at the Q Mansion while excitedly anticipating the upcoming christening. After putting her to bed, Sasha met with Felicia in the kitchen. Sasha let Felicia know how much she had been a rock for her throughout the pregnancy and asked her to be Daisy's godmother. The two continued to bond and show their gratitude for their developing relationship as friends and family. Meanwhile, back in the nursery, a mysterious person entered to look in on Daisy, who was beginning to cry but left shortly after. In an odd moment, when Sasha went to make them some tea, she seemingly realized she left the milk in the cabinet and not the refrigerator, and concluded, "Mom brain is real." She shared that Robert had been calling for a video chat every morning, but not with Holly. As she said that, the scene cut to the shadowy figure leaving the nursery. Sasha said Holly did send a gift and had been texting, but they were a work in progress and had a long way to go. Felicia advised that it could take a while, but would improve. With a new perspective on motherhood, Sasha felt more gracious toward Holly, feeling that Holly did the best she could in some instances. They heard Daisy starting to cry on the monitor. Felicia left, and when Sasha went to check on Daisy, she quickly noticed something was different. Daisy was in a different onesie and turned in the opposite direction. Sasha was confused, but convinced something was happening. In the Q Mansion study, Brooklyn continued to go through Roco and Britt Westbourne's file when Roco and Danny came in from their first day of work at the Metro Court pool. Jason walked in shortly after. The boys discussed their day and how they almost got into trouble for trying to hang out at the pool and being a little silly. When they left the room, Jason asked if she was okay. Trying to hide the fact that she was looking into Britt and Roco, Brooklyn said she was fine and just busy with deception stuff. After Jason left, she ruminated over the last fight she had with Lulu, then switched to deception business and made a call asking for March's financials. She stacked the deception folder on top of Rocco's folder and left them on the table when she walked out. In the Q Mansion solarium, Danny and Roco were telling Jason about all the things that surprised them while working at the Metro Court, when Dante walked in from seeing Gio at the pool. When the boys left, Dante took a moment to say he had misjudged Jason and the way he parented Danny. The two went on to acknowledge they've made different parenting choices and briefly talked about the difficulty of raising kids. Dante felt he would have to approach Gio much differently than Roco. In the end, he apologized for being dismissive and critical of the way Jason parented Danny. Of course, Jason told him no problem and accepted his apology. He also comforted Dante by reminding him that Gio was a smart and good kid and to trust him to figure it out. After going for a swim at the Q Mansion, Danny and Roco came back into the study ready to play poker. Roco told Danny to clear off the table while he grabbed the cards. When Danny picked up the files that Brooklyn had left on the table, he saw the one with Rocco's name on it and handed it to him. As the sun was going down at the Metro Court pool, Gio let Dante know he was still on duty and needed to keep an eye on the pool. Dante got tickets to the PC Philharmonic concert series in the park and asked Gio if he wanted to go with him, Roco, and Charlotte. As they talked, Gio flashed back to smashing his violin at the nurses' ball and said music wasn't quite his thing at the moment. They agreed to maybe go some other time. Additionally, Dante offered that Gio could go any time with the others, and he wouldn't have to go if Gio didn't want him to. Dante left without seeing Lulu, who had walked a few minutes earlier. Lulu had kept her distance while Gio and Dante were talking. Lucas, who showed up to meet Marco at the pool, warmly greeted Lulu. He immediately sensed Lulu was not enthused to hear Marco's name and questioned why. Even though she loved Lucas and wanted to see him happy, she was worried about Marco's connection to his father. Lucas explained Marco was close to his dad because his dad always accepted him. Lulu shared her concern for how dangerous Sidwell was, especially since he'd tried to kill Lucky. He attempted to brush off her concern, saying he wasn't dating Sidwell and Marco was a completely different person. Lulu felt it would be important to know if Marco and his dad were just emotionally tight or criminally tight as well. He compared Marco and Sidwell to Sonny and Dante, but Lulu was not convinced it was the same, and felt Sidwell did not seem to have the same code or boundaries. Lucas assured her Marco promised he had nothing to do with his father's business, and he felt there was no reason not to trust him. To underscore his point, he asked Lulu to imagine if someone judged Charlotte by Valentin. She acknowledged he had a good point, but even if she was being overly cautious, she just wanted him to be careful. Figuring Marco wasn't going to show, Lucas decided to leave and meet him at the law office. After Marco left, a drunk guy offered to buy Lulu a drink and wasn't wanting to take no for an answer. Gio came to intervene, telling the guy he would call security. The pool was closed and he needed to get out. While Lulu thanked him for the assist, the drunk guy jumped into the pool. Security confirmed the drunk guy was kicked out and commended Gio for getting him out of the pool so quickly. Brooklyn walked in to see Gio and Lulu getting along and joking around. Hurt, she watched as they sat with their feet in the pool and continued to bond. At the Miller and Davis law office, Marco met with his mother. He wasn't interested in talking with her outside of the case, but still wanted to help protect her. When Natalia told Marco it may be the last time they see each other, he quickly surmised she planned to leave the country. Marco was curious about how she had arranged for her new life and figured it was Sonny who had orchestrated everything for her second chapter. Natalia confirmed he was correct. Marco was outraged and worried Sonny was going to kill her. He told her she was delusional to blow the deal with ADA Turner and to trust Sonny. At the height of their argument, Lucas walked in. As they continued yelling at each other, Natalia turned to leave. Marco, calling her Natalia, told her that if she left, she would no longer be his client, no longer be his mother, and would officially be nothing to him. She responded, "I already am," and left. Lucas stopped Marco from calling the police, but Marco still wanted to get her arrested. Lucas emphatically warned Marco he did not want to be the reason his own mother went to prison. Panicking, Marco felt that either his mom would go to prison, or he would, or she would die. Lucas wasn't convinced Sonny would kill Natalia and reminded Marco he negotiated with ADA Turner in good faith, and it wouldn't be on him if his mother decided to leave. Lucas promised to keep Marco's knowledge of his mother leaving a secret, but neither seemed aware that Sidwell knew anything. Upstairs at Windermere, Sidwell sat looking at pictures of Michael, which clearly indicated he had someone surveilling Michael since the nurse's ball. Slimeball Ezra Boyle arrived and was put out, having to come all the way to Spoon Island. But Sidwell told him discretion was paramount. When asked why he was looking at the pictures, Sidwell said they were of Sonny's family, who were his obvious weakness. He let Boyle know that he was very upset because his negotiations with Sonny had broken down. Sidwell now felt he was going to have to give Sonny an incentive to sell the piers, which meant he wanted Boyle to remind the good people of Port Charles that there was a menacing thug in their midst. When Boyle told him he didn't want any part of that, Sidwell quickly reminded him he was paying for his mayoral campaign, and, therefore, did not care what he wanted. He went on to highlight how Boyle could benefit as well. The messier Sonny looked, the worse Laura would look by association, and the better Boyle would look as a result. Increasingly acting more sinister, Sidwell concluded he would do what he deemed necessary, and Boyle would smile and say, "Thank you." After Boyle left, Sidwell was looking through more pictures, including ones of Gio and Christina. Natalia came in to tell Sidwell about her fight with Marco, and the fact that he never wanted to see her again. Sidwell quickly implied it was her fault, had no sympathy for her, and refused to help her. Natalia told him that if he loved Marco as much as he claimed, he needed to keep him out of his disgusting business because they both knew his hands were covered in blood, and she didn't want Marco doomed to the same fate. After she left, he stepped out onto the turret and seemed to notice something in the distance. Carly arrived to visit Sonny at his house. She was bringing him news about Daisy's christening. The reception was going to be switched from Carly's house to the Quartermains because Monica wanted to go. Sonny filled her in on Sidwell wanting to buy the piers. Carly understood you don't hand unchecked power to a guy like Sidwell, remembering he tried to kill Jason twice. When Sonny said Sidwell was not going to stop trying, Carly felt the real question was how long Sidwell had been trying. She wondered if he was responsible for the explosion at the penthouse and the assassination attempt at the hospital, and wondered how big a threat he was to the family. Sonny said they haven't been able to find ties to Sidwell and the kill attempts, but he didn't trust him. He vowed Sidwell would not take anything from him. Carly asked about Natalia, but Sonny said she was not going to be a problem for him or anyone in the family. They took a moment to recognize how grateful they were to have Michael back. The kids were safe and happy, and for Daisy, who Carly noted is a Spencer, a Corinthos, a Quartermain, and a Scorpio. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Messy Syrup. It's me, Abby, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. General Hospital fans were shocked when it was announced that Chad Duell would be exiting the role of Michael Corinthos. As always happens when an actor leaves a soap, the fans were a little worried when it was later announced that Rory Gibson would be taking over the part. He wasn't a stranger to soaps, having previously played Noah Newman on The Young and the Restless from 2021 to 2023. Since his debut in May, Gibson has made the part his own, and the fans agreed. General Hospital star Rory Gibson spoke with Soap Opera Digest about how he approached the social media aspect of coming into a recast. He noted that, "I've been a recast before, so I know that it can come with a little bit of resistance." Gibson remarked that things can get dicey for an actor who is hoping for fan approval. He was well aware that Duell was beloved by the fans as Michael, and fully expected them to reject him in the part. This was particularly true because Michael had been recast several times before Duell, who played Michael for 15 years. Gibson fully expected to receive pushback from the fans, as well as, maybe people not warming up to me super quick. That's a healthy, positive attitude when entering a job like that. He therefore decided to stay away from social media, noting that he does have an Instagram account. But as his scenes started to grace the viewers' television sets, he remarked that he just don't even look at it because it's going to get a little intense for a little bit. The General Hospital star stated that he knew several people who were ardent fans of the soap, particularly a couple whose jobs were in publicity departments. This made them something of experts in social media sites and apps. In particular, his friend Jenna, who is an authority on GH. She advised him to take a peek at what was being said about his performance as Michael, but he chose to avoid taking a look. She insisted that he check out what the fans were discussing. Gibson explained that Jenna knew he wasn't truly concerned about what people would say. He remarked that his worry was about just anticipating some, negativity or some heat coming my way, I suppose. Ultimately, the General Hospital newcomer took a gander at the social media discussions and was pleasantly surprised by the positive nature of the posts the fans were making. He found the responses to be cool and refreshing and nice. He was thankful that the rabid fan base accepted him to the part and could feel the viewers' love. It was a dark day for General Hospital fans when the death of beloved former star Johnny Wachter was reported. He had been escorting a restaurant coworker to her car in the wee hours of the night and surprised some criminals who were trying to steal his truck's catalytic converter. Sadly, he was shot when he dared to ask what they were doing, but in doing so, he saved the life of his friend, Anita Joy. Since then, the three perpetrators were apprehended and charged with murder, with one being charged as an accessory and pleading to a lesser charge. Now, Wachter's mom has come forward about the difficulty she's having trying to get his affairs in order. Wachter was beloved by the fans as Brando Corbin, the cousin of Sonny Corinthos. U.S. Magazine recently reported that Wachter's mother, Scarlett Wachter, had petitioned the court to allow her access to Johnny's Apple laptop, his Apple desktop, and his Apple iPhone. Because she's the official administrator of the former General Hospital star's estate, she needed access to his devices for potential intel and to see photos and videos he left behind. She could not get into any of the devices because she'd been locked out of them and wanted to take a look at the contents. His mom explained that the main reason for doing so was to determine if her late son's computer and phone contain any financial information or financial assets. She required the info for one last distribution report. Of course, Apple would not comply with her unless she produced a court order. Ultimately, she requested a judge grant her access by forcing the tech company to release the devices so she could obtain any pertinent data that might help her button up his affairs. Wachter found the entire matter aggravating because she simply wants to lay everything to rest for the departed General Hospital actor. She also needed access to his laptop and phone so she could close out any of his accounts. "I don't want to erase them," she stated, referring to any videos or pictures that he might have had on them. Ultimately, she told the outlet that she was hopeful that any snaps she obtained from his devices would reveal a bunch of good stuff. Wachter's mom gained control of his estate in June 2024, after getting a judge to declare her the administrator. This permission allowed her to gain control and manage the late actor's bills, as well as any finances. Here are your General Hospital spoilers for Friday, June 27, 2025. It's christening day for 1-week-old Daisy Corinthos. The Quartermain clan and Corinthos clan are ready for the big event, but an ominous feeling surrounds it. While Jason and Carly take a walk down memory lane in the church, Sasha tells Cody that something strange is going on in Monica's house. First, she found Daisy's mobile on when she didn't turn it on. The next night, she found the baby in a new onesie, facing the opposite direction from where she had laid her down to sleep. Sasha tries to put it all out of her mind to enjoy a celebration, but she is secretly terrified that something is about to go wrong. Sonny thinks he has everything set with Natalia taking off for Belize after the christening, but he has to deal with 8A Turner before he even gets to the church. Sonny realizes he might not be out of the woods yet. Meanwhile, Natalia visits Brooklyn to give her some information that could benefit Deception. Does she tell Brooklyn that she is about to skip town and never be heard from again? If everything goes as planned, that is. In Sonny's world, things don't always work as hoped, especially with Natalia's ex-husband Sidwell around. Brooklyn has a big day. Not only does she meet with Natalia, but Brooklyn and Chase make a revelation. Does Brooklyn realize her Roco files are gone, meaning Roco could have gotten his hands on them and learned the truth about his origin story because Brooklyn is careless? That would certainly make it easy to call it even with Lulu, but something tells us Brooklyn isn't going to stop there. After all, she saw how friendly Gio and Lulu were at the pool and was highly jealous. If Lulu grows closer to Brooklyn's son than to Brooklyn, there will be hell to pay. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Daisy's christening could bring a curveball that Sonny Corinthos and his loved ones don't see coming. The June 27th episode will bring Daisy's special day, so she'll have plenty of friends and family members surrounding her. Unfortunately, Daisy's christening ceremony could take a terrible turn and become memorable for the wrong reason. Michael Corinthos will find himself grumbling over Willow Tate ahead of the gathering, but Jocelyn Jax will push him to concentrate on Daisy instead. In the end, Michael may decide nothing's going to rob him of joy since this is supposed to be a time of celebration. Sadly, it looks like terrible news is brewing, so Michael could face the ultimate joy robber moment after all. GH spoilers say Sonny will have to deal with a shocker right as this christening's happening, so it may wreck everything. There are two ways for Sonny's life to blow up right now, and the writers have been hinting at both of them. It's just a matter of which one will play out in the June 27 episode and presumably set the stage for the Friday cliffhanger. Option 1 is Sonny's arrest since ADA Justine Turner is fighting so hard to put him behind bars. Sonny was hoping to get Natalia Ramirez out of town and avoid landing in a jail cell, but Turner may blindside him and make this arrest happen sooner than expected. Option number 2 could involve some sort of attack, especially since Sonny warned Laura Collins that violence was coming to Port Charles. Vengeful Jen Sidwell poses a threat, along with any other enemies Sonny's made along the way. There's still no confirmation on who was behind the hits that were carried out on Sonny. However, Sonny obviously survived the penthouse explosion and the attempt on his life in LA, so someone's going to strike again sooner or later. If it happens at Daisy's christening, that could throw Sonny's world into turmoil and leave him fearful about the danger that's erupting for his loved ones. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Brooklyn Quartermain is letting her anger drive her down a path she's going to regret. We get why Brooklyn is furious with Lulu Spencer, but that doesn't mean Brooklyn's vengeful strategy is the right one. GH fans know Lulu found out Giovanni Gio Palmieri was Brooke Lynn and Dante Falconeri's grown son, so she confronted Lois Cerullo backstage at the nurses' ball. That gave Gio a chance to overhear the news about his true parentage, so he was totally blindsided. Gio's world was blown apart in that moment, so Brooke Lynn blames Lulu for a lot of her son's pain. Now Gio is shutting Brooke Lynn out while bonding with Lulu, so that's making matters even worse. We can understand why Brooke Lynn would be craving some Lulu payback, especially considering they already had a feud before all this went down. Now Brooke Lynn wants to prove Lulu isn't the honest mother she claims to be. Lulu acts like she'd never lie to her kids or keep gigantic secrets from them, but she's keeping a massive one from Roco Falconeri. Brooke Lynn has been researching Britt Westbourne and the whole stolen embryo scandal, so she has proof Britt gave birth to Ben Westbourne. Roco is apparently in the dark on that surrogacy mess and how he came into existence. Of course, this secret is arguably less traumatic than what Gio went through. Unless GH writers have some wacky retcon story planned, Roco will still have the same biological parents at the end of all this. It's not like this is really going to change Roco's life all that much, but it could certainly change his view of Lulu and Dante. Roco is going to feel like his parents kept something huge from him and may lash out at them both in response. Brooke Lynn honestly doesn't seem to be considering the full weight of the consequences here. It's clear that Brooke Lynn's revenge on Lulu is going to hurt Roco, so some GH fans are asking if she's going too far. It'd be different if Roco just got tangled up in Brooke Lynn's vengeance by mistake, but he's a crucial part of making Lulu pay. Brooke Lynn intends to blow up Lulu's connection with Roco, and it's downright cruel to do that to a sweet teenage boy who just found out he's Gio's half-brother. You can bet this is going to backfire on Brooke Lynn spectacularly, since Gio won't approve of her plotting against Lulu like this. Gio won't want to see Roco get hurt either, so this is just a bad idea all around. Furthermore, Brooke Lynn will be adding to Dante's pain if Roco indeed turns against him over all the Brit secrecy. Dante is already struggling to connect with Gio, but now Brooke Lynn may ruin the strong bond he has with his other son. The file Brooke Lynn's been gathering landed in Roco's hands on the June 26th episode, so everything could be on the verge of exploding. General Hospital spoilers for Friday, June 27th reveal that Portia Robinson will make a suggestion to Curtis Ashford, but he'll insist now isn't a good time. It sounds like Portia will want to discuss their marriage and her issues with Jordan Ashford, but Curtis may argue they have more pressing matters to worry about. As for Jordan, she'll give Anna updates on her confrontation with Portia, who threw a drink in her face at the Metro Court pool. Between Jordan's complicated feelings and Portia's jealous outbursts, Jordan won't know if she can be around Curtis anymore. Over with Brooke Lynn Quartermain, she'll look alarmed as she speaks with Natalia Ramirez about bad news and a crisis that's threatening to erupt. "You really think we can avoid a scandal like this?" Brooke Lynn asks Natalia in Friday's GH preview video. This may tie in with Sonny and the shady deception financial info, so Brooke Lynn may fear this could blow up and do some serious damage to the company. As for ADA Justin Turner, she'll have a confrontation with Sonny and make some ominous comments. Sonny will ask if he needs to call his lawyer, but he'll act nonchalant and stand up to Turner in the process. Over with Carly Spencer, she'll fret to Jason about the threat Jen Sidwell poses, especially with everyone gathering for Daisy's christening ceremony. However, Jason will promise that if anybody thinks about making a move, they'll be stopped. Carly will get reassurance that Jason will do whatever it takes to protect all their loved ones. At some point, Jason and Carly will do some reminiscing, so they may think back on some memories of when Michael Corinthos was a baby. Speaking of Michael, he'll be in a funk over Willow Tate on Friday's show, but Jocelyn Jax will urge him to focus on Daisy's happy occasion. It looks like Joss will warn Michael not to let Willow darken a very special day, so Michael may decide she's right. At the Quartermain mansion, Sasha Gilmore Corbin will admit to Cody Bell that something weird is going on around there. Since the milk was in the cabinet, Sasha chalked that up to a case of mommy brain. However, Sasha made some even stranger discoveries in Daisy's bedroom since she'd been turned around in her crib and was wearing a different color onesie. It seems like someone is trying to gaslight Sasha So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this mystery unravels. Back with Anna, she'll face a difficult grilling session. Will it be 8A Turner, who's full of questions on Friday's episode? Brooke Lynn and Harrison Chase also have a discovery coming up, so we'll see what they find and whatever drama it'll inevitably lead to. General Hospital spoilers update for Friday, June 27th reveals that ADA Justine Turner will taunt Sonny Corinthos about his looming downfall and leave him asking if he needs to call his attorney. Of course, Sonny won't be worried since he plans to bury the evidence Natalia Ramirez uncovered and send her to Belize, but ADA Turner doesn't know anything about Natalia's escape. As far as ADA Turner's concerned, Natalia is still set to move forward with the deal Marco Rios arranged for her instead. Unfortunately, there'll be more complications on Friday's GH episode. Brooke Lynn Quartermain will apparently uncover the same unsettling Sonny-related financial info that Natalia found. That'll leave Brooke Lynn panicking over the scandalous consequences of all this, so Natalia will get tangled up in the crisis. Brooke Lynn and Harrison Chase will also realize something on Friday's show, so we'll see if that ties in Natalia's getaway plot or something else. Next, let's talk about Daisy, since it'll be her christening day. After Michael Corinthos vents to Jocelyn Jacks about Willow Tate, Joss will push him to just concentrate on Daisy. It'd be a shame to let all this Willow talk spoil Daisy's ceremony, so Michael may put his former flame out of his mind, at least for a while. Speaking of former flames, Portia Robinson may push Curtis Ashford to have a discussion about Jordan Ashford. Although Portia may think Curtis needs to enforce some boundaries, he won't be interested in fighting for their marriage or shoving Jordan aside right now. The most important thing is neutralizing Drew Kane, so Curtis may remind Portia of that. Portia blew up at Jordan during their recent poolside face-off, so Jordan will fill Anna Devane in on all the drama. The whole thing will leave Jordan feeling like she needs to take a step back from Curtis, especially since she's struggling to make sense of what's in her heart. After Jordan admits she doesn't think she can be around Curtis anymore, Anna will offer some guidance. It turns out Anna will also face someone's tricky questions later, so there could be more ADA Turner conflict brewing. Meanwhile, Cody Bell will pick up on some strange Sasha Gilmore Corbin vibes, so she'll admit something odd is happening at the Quartermain mansion. Sasha may share how someone turned Daisy around in her crib and changed her outfit, so Cody should have a chance to react. Will Cody offer to help Sasha investigate or downplay it as a misunderstanding instead? Ahead of Daisy's christening, Jason Morgan and Carly Spencer will think back on some fond memories. Perhaps Carly and Jason will recall when Michael was the same age as Daisy. Carly will also give Jason updates on her Gen Z Sidwell fears, but Jason will vow to shut down anyone who tries to make a move. That goes for Sidwell and anyone else who might try to pull something, particularly when everyone's gathered for this special event. However, Sonny will face a shocker on Friday, so that can't be good news. Is all this building to Sonny ending up in handcuffs, or could someone carry out another attempted hit instead? General Hospital sees Drew Kane Quartermain now knows that Portia Robinson's husband is plotting to humiliate him and ruin his reputation and his career with lies. Is Drew going to hit them preemptively? Is Portia about to be arrested for the ketamine caper? We're going to talk about how Drew might expose Portia's crimes and have her arrested for hiring Jacinda and providing her the drugs that led to that wild night of debauchery that was caught on video. And just by the way, Michael Corinthos is on board with Curtis Ashford's scheme against Drew, and those two are playing a long game. Michael even encouraged Curtis to play ball, cooperate, act like he's giving in to Drew's demands to run that negative piece about the custody verdict. Meanwhile, Curtis is trying to protect Portia and end Drew's blackmail and stop his control over his wife once and for all. So the plan was to find Jacinda the hooker and pay her to lie, and say that Congressman Cutthroat got the ketamine himself and was using it recreationally and wanted to do some wild partying while his girlfriend, Willow Tate, was out of town. Curtis will no doubt splash Jacinda's false story all over the media and destroy Drew's life or get it into the local tabloid, even if he doesn't want to do it with Aurora. Right now, Curtis has private investigator Felicia Scorpio searching for the prostitute. They've got a lead on Jacinda, and Felicia is very close to finding her in Sydney, Australia. But the huge problem is that Portia and Curtis were not careful when they were plotting and scheming and talking about their big plan to wreck Drew because Kai Taylor overheard everything. And when Cody Bell lied and said he left the ketamine in Tracy Quartermain's car, at the press conference, Drew couldn't speak up and say, "Oh, Cody's lying," because, he planted it himself. He really couldn't defend against it because he was trying to set her up. And then, of course, even worse, Tracy ripped Drew a new one in public, and he was so despondent afterwards when he was talking to Kai. And I mean, let's face it, Drew's a monster. But for some reason, he has really been good to Kai. Even bad people have puppies. So, when Drew claimed that everybody was against him, and Willow Kai felt bad because Drew's been so nice to him, and he warned him what Curtis and Portia are planning with Jacinda. And no, I'm not comparing Kai to a puppy. I'm just saying that like bad people, have puppies and kittens and pets and kids, and they're nice to them while they're awful to everybody else. And that's Drew. So, because of what Kai told him, now Drew has time to prepare. He knows what his enemies are plotting thanks to Kai. And of course Drew, shocked and probably furious, but also very grateful to Kai, because he forewarned him. Now Drew just needs to find a way to get out in front of this, and he might be ready to just throw Portia to the wolves. One problem, though, is Portia had a co-conspirator, Nina Reeves, who is also a good friend of Curtis's and about to be Drew's mother-in-law and his former bed buddy. So it seems like if Drew pressed charges on Portia, then that would expose Nina's involvement as well. Brad Cooper could show up and be Drew's witness, but remember, Brad only dealt with Portia. So, there is a way that Drew could target just Portia, have just her arrested, and force Nina to back up whatever story that he tells to the cops and to the media. So, all Drew has to do is tell Nina that if he goes to Willow with all this info about the hooker and the ketamine that absolutely humiliated Willow and really upset her, she'll probably never talk to her mom, Nina, again. And I think Drew's right when and if he says this to Nina. Willow would be absolutely furious with her mom and, probably would cut her out of her life. So Drew may hold Nina's feet to the fire and get her to turn on Portia if she doesn't want to lose Willow. He could force Nina to talk to Jacinda to pay her more than Curtis offered and have her put all the blame on Portia. So, we could see Jacinda coming back to town, and Curtis and Portia think they're going to get this big win, but then Jacinda accuses Portia of paying her and providing her the ketamine and just leaving Nina completely out of it. And if Portia tries to say Nina was part of it, Jacinda can deny it, and Drew can say that Portia is grasping at straws on General Hospital. Now, obviously, Nina wouldn't want to turn on Portia and would feel horrible because Curtis is one of her best friends. But Nina is more terrified to lose her daughter Willow than to lose one of her friends. So, Nina may think she has no choice but to do this for Drew. If this is what he pulls, he can promise to keep on keeping her dirty secrets, and she can stay in Willow's life unless she crosses him. Now, Carly Corinthos Spencer thinks she knows what happened, but honestly, she's assuming that Nina was the one to drug him. She has no hard proof, so I'm not worried too much about her coming in and trying to defend Portia because she doesn't have any actual information or evidence. And Drew can always pay Brad to come back and testify against Portia and say that she even made him take the ketamine. So, if Drew gets the hooker and the shady lab tech to both say that he was targeted by Portia, she'd go to jail for that alone. And then there's also still Portia tampering with Heather Weber's test results. So honestly, Drew's got everything he needs to ruin Portia's life, send her to prison, and take her medical license. Drew could do all that, or he could sit down with Curtis and Portia and tell them, "Look, I've got my finger on the button that can trigger this nuclear bombshell that will rip your family apart. Ruin Portia's career, send her to prison." And Drew can tell them, "Look, I can push this button. I can take the nuclear option if you keep pushing me." Or he can tell Curtis and Portia, "Stop playing games, back off, stop it completely." And that does seem more like Drew's style because he's been sitting on a lot of information for a while. Kind of makes him a perfect sleazy politician. But then again, maybe Drew's had enough of people plotting against him. And by the way, I do think he deserves all the bad things that have come his way, and that are coming this way, for cheating with Willow, how he's treated Jason Morgan and others, for saving Cyrus Renault's life in prison. Drew deserves some karma. However, right now, he's got the upper hand thanks to Kai. And speaking of the former football player, Trina Robinson is going to be devastated when she finds out Kai warned Drew about what Portia and Curtis were planning. And this could come around to bite Kai. I don't know if Trina could get past that, especially if Portia and Curtis won't play ball, and her mom winds up arrested. This could be the end for Kai and Trina if Drew pressed charges on Portia. So we'll see. I don't think Kai knows just how bad the fallout could be for Portia and for him by giving this info to Drew. I mean, Kai's just a nice guy who thinks Drew is getting trouble he doesn't deserve. But let's also be honest, as bad as Drew is, Portia has done all this to herself, like she always does. She's a liar and a schemer, and has been for a long time. Jordan Ashford pointed that out just before Portia threw a drink in Jordan's face at the pool. I mean, I understand that Portia wanted to protect Trina from Heather. That makes sense, but that's not her only lies and misdeeds. And the ketamine thing was pretty sketchy. So we'll see how it plays out. General Hospital spoilers for Friday, June 27th, reveal that Portia Robinson will make a suggestion to Curtis Ashford, but he'll insist now isn't a good time. It sounds like Portia will want to discuss their marriage and her issues with Jordan Ashford. But Curtis may argue they have more pressing matters to worry about. As for Jordan, she'll give Anna updates on her confrontation with Portia, who threw a drink in her face at the Metro Court pool. Between Jordan's complicated feelings and Portia's jealous outbursts, Jordan won't know if she can be around Curtis anymore. Over with Brooklyn Quartermain, she'll look alarmed as she speaks with Natalia Ramirez about bad news and a crisis that's threatening to erupt. "You really think we can avoid a scandal like this?" Brooklyn asks Natalia in Friday's GH preview video. This may tie in with Sonny and the shady deception financial info, so Brooklyn may fear this could blow up and do some serious damage to the company. As for ADA Justin Turner, she'll have a confrontation with Sonny and make some ominous comments. Sonny will ask if he needs to call his lawyer, but he'll act nonchalant and stand up to Turner in the process. Over with Carly Spencer, she'll fret to Jason about the threat Jen Sidwell poses, especially with everyone gathering for Daisy's christening ceremony. However, Jason will promise that if anybody thinks about making a move, they'll be stopped. Carly will get reassurance that Jason will do whatever it takes to protect all their loved ones. At some point, Jason and Carly will do some reminiscing, so they may think back on some memories of when Michael Corinthos was a baby. Speaking of Michael, he'll be in a funk over Willow Tate on Friday's show, but Jocelyn Jax will urge him to focus on Daisy's happy occasion. It looks like Joss will warn Michael not to let Willow darken a very special day, so Michael may decide she's right. At the Quartermain mansion, Sasha Gilmore Corbin will admit to Cody Bell that something weird is going on around there. Since the milk was in the cabinet, Sasha chalked that up to a case of mommy brain. However, Sasha made some even stranger discoveries in Daisy's bedroom since she'd been turned around in her crib and was wearing a different color onesie. It seems like someone is trying to gaslight Sasha, so it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this mystery unravels. Back with Anna, she'll face a difficult grilling session. Will it be ADA Turner who's full of questions on Friday's episode? Brooklyn and Harrison Chase also have a discovery coming up, so we'll see what they find and whatever drama it'll inevitably lead to. Willow is weak, and many are not happy about it. There are many strong women on General Hospital: Anna, Carly, Laura, Ava, Jocelyn, Lulu, and Maxie, just to name a few. Willow has become an extremely weak person, and fans do not appreciate it. Willow has been weepy for quite a while. It seems like it is a part of her character. Weepy is one thing, but now she has become weak and naive, and it's getting worse every day. It's almost as if she has no mind of her own. It obviously began when she began the affair with Drew. Little by little, he has practically turned her into his puppet. She does what he says, and thinks what he wants her to think. He convinced her to keep Michael's parents away from their son in the burn unit to get her way. Later, Drew had her sign over her children to him if something were to happen to her. He has alienated his girlfriend from almost everyone in her life, and he caused her to lose custody of her kids. Now, he somehow convinced her that marrying him will help get them back, when nothing could be further from the truth. Why has Willow become a zombie-like version of herself who follows her destructive boyfriend's wishes? We don't know the answer, but we do know that fans do not think she is a good example for women. They want to see strong, independent ladies who fight for what they want. They are not happy that Willow cannot think on her own. There are many Drew theories out there. He is really Shiloh. He is being controlled by the Cassadines, or his personality shifted after his beating in prison. One of these may come true. Or not. Some believe that Willow is still under some cult-like control. Others think she is just a weak person. Either way, it is fixable. She needs to see the light. If losing custody didn't do it, maybe finding out that her boyfriend was sleeping with her mother will, or possibly, be enough at some point. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. If she throws Drew to the curb, stands up for herself, works to fix her mistakes, and focuses on her children, she may be redeemable. It is also time for her to not have a man in her life and to grow as a person.